The Laws of Ascension, Chapter 56, Reunion. It's been a while, Leora says nervously after a few seconds. Lorik doesn't respond and just continues staring. His fingers have stopped shaking and he's balled them into fists under the table. What are you doing here? Lorik asks angrily after a few seconds. Your friends came and told me about what happened. Leora starts before going silent. She just stares at him for a few seconds again. I'm sorry. She mutters, Don't be. You were right. Now goodbye. Lorik says before getting up. He starts walking toward the door when Leora jumps up. She leaps toward him and crashes into him. Wait, she says while holding her arms around his waist. Lorik starts trying to pry her off when Vera grabs his arms. The hell are you doing, Vera? Lorik shouts as she pulls his arms off her. I'm sorry, Lorik, Leora says quietly while burning her face into him. Hearing this, Lorik stops struggling, but Vera doesn't let go. Get up, let's talk, Lorik says after a few seconds. Leora nods before standing up. She wipes away a few tears and they sit back at the table. So why didn't you tell her about the debts? Vera asks as they sit back down. Because I was stupid, Lorik replies bitterly. That's not a valid reason, Leora says, but it's the truth. I thought it was for the best at the time. Lorik says, causing Leora to scoff. That was stupid. Why didn't you tell me about your work? If you had told me why you were working in the black market, I wouldn't have run away like that. You had me convinced that you were down there killing and stealing as a way to grieve. Leora asks, causing Lorik to sigh. Because I was stupid, he says, causing her to jump out of her seat and slam her palms on the table. That's not a reason, she says, almost shouting. What did you expect from me, Leora? Our parents were gone. You were refusing to even get out of bed, and the debt collectors came running. I was just a kid. The only thing on my mind was how to pay off the debts. Just before I managed to pay them off, you started getting out of bed. I didn't have to beg you to eat or force more food in your mouth. When you told me you wanted to go to the Arcathan Institute, I knew I had to make more money. You said it the day after getting up, so I thought that dream was what made you get up. I became convinced that if you couldn't go there, you'd go back to rotting away in bed. I knew if you learned that I was working in the black market to pay for that, you'd insist on helping. I couldn't let you risk that. Lorik replies, shouting and barely speaking at times. That wasn't your choice to make, Leora mutters. Well, sorry for not wanting my sister to go back to being stuck in her bed. Lorik replies, causing her to jump up again. She reaches over and yanks his mask off while opening her mouth. She stops when she sees the tears running down his face. He's gritting his teeth and quickly turns away. Lorik grabs the mask and moves it back to cover his face. When he does, Leora yanks it away before sitting back down. No more masks, Leora says before setting it on the table. Why the hell did you come back? Lorik asks with a heavy sigh. Because I learned that my brother was going through a lot to keep me safe. I wanted to come and see. Leora starts before tears start streaming down her face. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I missed you a lot since I ran away. I wanted to come back and I just wanted to see you, she says before breaking into sobs. Lorik awkwardly rubs her shoulders for a bit before she calms down. I was scared I'd find an empty house or your dead body when I came back. I wanted to come back sooner, but I just couldn't. She adds before breaking into more sobs. Lorik starts patting her head, causing her to jump out of her chair. She practically tackles him to hug him. They both fall to the ground as she wraps her arms around his chest. Lorik awkwardly starts rubbing her back, his own tears streaming down his cheeks. Vera sits awkwardly at the table, wanting to leave to give them privacy, but not wanting to disrupt them. After nearly 10 minutes, Leora pulls herself off Lorik. Sorry, Leora says while sitting up. Don't be. Lorik mutters while patting her head. You can't do that. Only the older one can pat the younger head, Leora says while patting Lorik's head with both hands. She starts rubbing his head, messing up his hair. You're only 1 year older, Lorik replies while pushing her off and jumping up. That doesn't mean I'm not the older sibling, Leora replies proudly, causing Lorik to shake his head. So, are you coming back to the academy? Vera asks after a moment of silence. If I'm not getting arrested, sure, Lorik replies half-jokingly. Are you going to quit the black market? Leroa asks, causing him to sigh. No, not yet. I'll distance myself from it a bit, but it has its perks. Lorik replies, causing her to scoff. Like what? She asks. Like selling stolen goods. Now let me explain before you get pissed. Lorik says as Leora and Vera look at him angrily. I don't steal from just anyone. I only steal from those who try to steal from me. Does anyone try to steal from you? You have quite the reputation down there. Vera asks. They used to, and while we're on the subject, screw you, Vera. Lorik says, surprising her. I've worked hard to build this cold and ruthless reputation. Now, thanks to your stunt at the arena, people are going to think I'm a womanizer or something. He adds with a sigh, I just got the whores off my back, too. Wait, whores? Leora almost shouts. Oh yeah, did you see the women wearing colored masks? The ones that are just a solid color instead of an animal's face? They're part of Madame Lilith's den. Given my relationship with Torvin and the arena's hunting dogs, they used to pester me a lot. To the whores down there, getting into a relationship with someone rich and or powerful is their goal. So when I first appeared down there and made a name for myself, they tried. Well, I wouldn't call it seducing. I mean, it may be the black market, but even we draw the line at underage sex. But they tried to use their charms to draw me in. Some even tried to get me to call them Mom. Lorik says before sighing, Did you do anything with them? Vera asks. No, well, I broke a few of their fingers. Lorik says, causing Leora to start coughing. Why? She asks. They wouldn't leave me alone and started breaking into my place down there. This was after you left, and instead of coming back here every night, Tovin got me a place down there. Anyway, I'd often return to them waiting for me. I got so fed up with it that I started telling them I'd break their arms if they came back. Obviously, they didn't believe the kid threatening them would actually do it. I felt bad breaking an arm, so instead I broke their index fingers. Had to break 3 before they got the message. Lorik explains, causing Leora to sigh. Oh, don't worry. Madame Lilith is a first-tier mage who comprehends the law of life. She could heal their broken fingers with a flick of her finger. Lorik adds, Who's Madame Lilith? I haven't heard of her before. Vera asks. She's in charge of the whores. She also keeps track of them and has a close relationship with the arena and stone bears. Their relationship isn't sexual to my knowledge, but if you mess with the whores, the hunting dogs or the bears will take care of you. Lorik says before Leora starts laughing. Why are you laughing? Vera asks, a little concerned. I just didn't imagine we'd be talking about whores when we found my brother. She says, causing Vera to smile. Her bracelet vibrates and she turns it on. A message from Cyrilda pops up asking if she found Lorik. Master's asking about you. Should I tell her where we are? Vera asks Lorik. Could you give us some time alone? I'd like. Leora starts before Vera stands up. No problem. I'll let Master and the others know we'll meet back in her office tomorrow. So make sure you drag him there. Vera says before walking to the door. She types a message to send back, saying she found him and they'll meet tomorrow to talk. She adds that Leora and him are talking alone and want to keep it that way for now. Inside the house, Lorik and Leora spend the next few hours talking. They talk about the past few years and what they've missed. Although Lorik knows what Leora's been up to, something she constantly reminds him of, she still tells him everything. The only part Lorik doesn't tell Leora about is his relationship with Rabbit. However, she does try to tease him about her when he tells her they've known each other since almost when he first entered the black market. After the sun goes down and they start yawning, they call it a night. Leroa sleeps in their parents' bed, as it's the only bed in the house. Lorik sleeps on the couch like always. Leora did try to convince him to join her, but gave up after a bit of pushback. Lorik? Lorik! Leora says, shouting in a whisper to wake her sleeping brother up. She sighs and stands up straight to yell. Before she can, silverfish gray mist pours out of him. Nixfang appears next to Leora, surprising her as she lays a paw on Lorik's chest. Master, wake up! Nixfang says while pressing on the paw. Lorik jumps up and falls straight to the floor with a loud thud. Leora and Nixfang both stifle their laughter before he gets up. You don't have to wake me up like that, Lorik says, causing Nixfang to grin. That's what you get for being stupid yesterday, she says. So what's with the wolf? Leora asks. I am not a wolf, I'm a Fenrir, a legendary beast, Nixfang proudly says, correcting her. Wait, really? Why do you have a Fenrir? Leora asks. I told you yesterday I have a familiar named Nixfang. Lorik replies while walking over to the door. Now come on, I'm sure the others are getting impatient, Lorik says while opening the door. Nixfang turns back into mist and enters Lorik's soul. Lorik and Leora walk to the castle while talking about Nixfang. Leora asks about her law and abilities. In her classes, she learned about legendary beasts. She developed an interest in magical beasts from that, so she's very interested in learning more about Nixfang. Once they get to the castle, the knights quickly let them in. They remember Lorik from the last time when his bracelet was broken. So they quickly let him in hopes that he won't report them like he threatened. Once inside, they make their way back to the office. However, Lorik stops outside and looks around. Leora, take a picture of me real quick, Lorik says while handing her a photo stone. Why? Leora asks while Lorik puts his fox mask and black cloak on. Bragging rights. Now take it, Lorik says while giving 2 thumbs up. He stands in the center of the hallway, and Leora sighs before activating the stone. It flashes, and he quickly puts the mask and cloak away before storing the ring. They then enter Cyrilda's office.